I live in South Phoenix, and this happened to me in the mid-1990s. Please note that I am neither a drinker nor a drug user. I was at a party, and I was hanging out in the backyard. Off in the distance, I could hear the siren of a cop car. Now, being in South Phoenix, the rough part of the city, this isn't uncommon. The party sucked, so around 2 a.m. I started saying goodbyes to some people. I heard more sirens and what I thought was a fire truck coming closer. I assumed it was a car chase, which, happens a lot here. I was driving north on 7th Street when things got weird. As I approached Baseline Road, I saw to my left a row of cop cars, lights blazing, racing south on Central Avenue. At that hour, I was the only car on the road. Then I saw something like a kid scamper across the road and duck into the bushes. I got curious, so I stopped the car and rolled down my window. I wish I hadn't, because what I saw gives me shivers to this day when I think about it. It looked like a small child, about 3 feet tall. Its skin color was glossy, almost translucent in the moonlight. It didn't have any hair, and its mouth seemed unnaturally small. But the thing that really gets me was the eyes. They glowed yellow. I wasted no time in rolling up the window and stepping on the gas. But I did sneak a look at the rearview mirror. I saw it scamper back across the road just as a swarm of cops sped up 7th Street, from the same direction I'd just come. I know they were chasing that thing. In 2005, I worked in the shipping department, and one of my coworkers was a Navajo man named Q, short for Quentin. We were not close, but he was a coworker, and we did spend 8 hours each day across from one another, talking here and there about things when it was slow. He was divorced and raising a teenage son all by himself. Near the holidays, our company had a party, and I had drinks with him. I gave him my phone number in case he wanted to talk sometime. Unfortunately, he made a couple of shipping errors and got fired near Christmas time. It sucked because the only people left to talk to were some snooty girls. I tried to focus on my work. The new year came and back to work I went. Not very far into January, I learned from some coworkers that Q had hung himself. Shocked, I asked why. They said he probably just didn't want to deal with anything anymore and was probably going to lose his house anyway. I thought of the son and how he was going to make it. I don't believe the mother was capable of taking care of him. Everybody at work was upset but tried to keep on going. About a month later, maybe, I was hanging out at home and my phone beeped at me. This phone was a nice cricket phone, the slider kind. I was glad to have it. But it did crappy things sometimes, like lose a connection in the middle of a call and get staticky, things like that. So I looked at my phone and noticed that I'd received a text message on January 1st near midnight, and it was just now letting me know this. All the other times it'd been left on, and it had not beeped at me until now. So I opened it up, and to my shock, it read, "Happy New Year." It was from Q. He had sent it to me days before killing himself, but since I was reading it posthumously, it was creepy. It made me wonder, if my phone had not been so crappy and had beeped at me earlier, would a call to Q have made any difference? I was sleeping when suddenly I found myself within a dream. There was a circle of people standing there, and they looked concerned. At their feet lay a doll, with a dress, a smile, some twisted yarn hair, and little black buttons for eyes. Its arms and legs started to wiggle. It was moving, and that was why these people looked so concerned. I thought I'd do something about it. I grabbed a trash bag, and even though I was a little freaked out, I grabbed the doll and tried to stuff it into the bag. I wanted to take that bag and throw it into the ocean with a brick to weigh it down, but the doll was not going to go so easily. It started thrashing, and I had difficulty getting it inside the bag. I could feel that everybody was on my side, hoping that I would succeed in destroying this freak doll. I kept trying. It was very strong for such a small thing, and I struggled. I must have been making some noise because my boyfriend touched my arm to wake me, which I took to be the doll grabbing me, so I rolled over and smacked my boyfriend across the face. I don't know which freaks me out more, the moving doll or my visceral reaction. I used to live in a house in Tempe, Arizona near the university. I was raising 2 little girls all by myself. As a single mother in a neighborhood full of children, I was always one to socialize with my neighbors and help out with other kids when I could. Football games were a big deal at the school, and not far from my house were a few houses that the school rented for the visiting team. One of the football players stood out, not only because he was a rising star, but also because he got out and would talk to people. I remember him as a nice young man. One day he came over with a small gray kitten and said he was giving away a litter, and he asked my youngest daughter if she wanted one. Of course we took in the kitten. We were trying to come up with a good name for him. My daughter didn't have any ideas, so the young man said to her, "I like the name Jason. I hope to have a son someday, and I'll call him Jason." My daughter liked it, so the kitten was named Jason. If you haven't guessed already, the young man was O.J. Simpson. Yes, killers can wear a friendly smile and blend in with normal people. He did later have a son whom he named Jason. Somewhere in the closet is a black and white photo of my daughter holding the kitten she got from O.J. Simpson. During my junior year in high school, something weird happened to me that I'll never forget. Nothing paranormal had ever happened to me until it happened. I excused myself to go to the restroom. It was already hot, and it was a really quiet day on campus. There was usually a hall monitor out, or at least a janitor, but nobody was around. I went to that one bathroom outside of the photography department. I was doing my thing on the toilet when I was overcome by a weird feeling, like I wasn't alone and I was being watched. This was very unnerving and made no sense. I was compelled to look up and to the right of the stall, which I did, and that's when I saw it. For lack of a better description, it was a shadow. It had a head, shoulders, and part of the torso, and the rest was hidden by the stall. But it was solid black and had no face. I felt like it was looking at me. As soon as I looked up, it ducked down. There was even a swish of clothing as it, ducked down. I heard it. Then I saw nothing, and I was sitting there in fear and confusion. Did I really just see that? Was I in danger? I looked underneath the stall. There were no shoes visible. It didn't feel right just sitting there, and I didn't want to say anything, and I didn't dare to peek over the stall myself, for fear of what I might see, so I zipped up and got the hell out of there. For the rest of the year and the next, I never used that same bathroom again. If I needed the bathroom, I'd go to a different bathroom, and for the longest time I didn't talk about what happened. This was in 1996, when we high schoolers were using Netscape Navigator, and there weren't a lot of websites yet. So unbeknownst to me, my high school was reportedly haunted, but I didn't learn of this for some time. Back in the 70s, when the school auditorium was being built, one of the workers fell from a scaffold, falling through the stage and dying on the basement floor. To this day, people in the drama room get tapped by invisible hands, get their names whispered in their ear, and find their instruments moved to somewhere they didn't leave them. The whole time I attended my high school, I'd never heard of this, but probably those in the drama or music club did. But there's more. On Coast to Coast AM, I know that Heidi Hollis made her debut, and she presented stories of shadow beings. So apparently lots of people see them, and there's different kinds, which really fascinates me because I saw one before I even knew this was a thing. And when I discussed this with people online, I learned that shadow beings are often seen in dirty places, like behind dumpsters or, like me, in a school bathroom. So I have some questions that remain. Was what I saw the ghost of the guy that died in the auditorium, or was it a shadow being? Why was he peeping in the girls' bathroom? Was this thing ever alive, and what is its purpose? I'll probably never get answers, but I never want to come face to face with a shadow being again. I moved into my current house with my husband and 2 small kids many years ago. My kids would talk about an old woman that would talk to them and watch over them as they slept. I thought they were making things up, just being imaginative kids. I changed my mind when a Native American friend came over for the first time, and he sat on my couch and we started to talk. He got a puzzled and concerned look on his face, then excused himself. He stood outside my front door and I followed him. "What's wrong?" "I don't think I can ever come back to your house again." "Why not?" "Because I saw an old woman standing in your living room, and I don't think she is alive. By the way, my friend is a bit of a psychic." South Mountain in Phoenix is not known for werewolves. Neither are werewolves really associated with the desert, but for me, that kind of thinking is just not possible anymore. I was at a party one night and I left to go home. I was driving down Baseline Road, and at that very late hour, nobody else was around. I stopped at an intersection, and as I was idle, I looked over at somebody's yard and saw a large black dog sitting there. It looked very attentive and intelligent. As if it sensed what I was thinking, it suddenly turned and looked in my direction. The light changed to green and I stepped on it. That's when the dog gave chase. It ran alongside my car and I got a little freaked out, so I pushed down on the gas harder, and even though I must have been going 60 miles an hour, the dog easily kept up. There was no way this was an ordinary dog. My heart started beating faster and I wondered what would happen if I stopped the car. Was I in danger? I didn't know. I just reacted with pure instinct and went faster, watching the dog in my side mirror. Finally, the dog lost energy and fell back. In the rearview mirror, I watched it come to a halt in the road, and then it stood up on 2 legs, and I shit you not, it walked off the road on 2 legs. I am very careful now to not drive down Baseline Road after the sun goes down.